Seinen anime are a good starting point for their realism. And if you have absolutely no experience with anime, it doesn't get more realistic than Monster, a detective story that follows a surgeon chasing a former patient who has become a serial killer. It touches a myriad of dark and philosophical topics, such as the nature of good and evil, the value of human life, nihilism, the weight of responsibility, war, and abuse. Even though it follows an overarching plot, it can become quite episodic, and the narrative focus isn't always on the main character. Ironically, while a great first anime for complete noobs, if you are somewhat familiar with anime, Monster will probably be more challenging because of its longer episode count, subtler storytelling, and the lack of anime flair. If anime flair is what you're looking for, Death Note stays grounded in a cat-and-mouse detective story, while engaging in over-the-top anime antics like unrealistic internal monologues, over-the-top laughing, and insanely convoluted plans, and it has supernatural elements like gods of death and a magical notebook that allows you to kill anyone by writing their name in it. If you've seen Death Note already and want more, jump straight into Code Geass to follow a Machiavellian main character that blurs the line between hero and villain as he enacts insane plans to defeat his enemies in battles of strategy and wit and gain independence for his people, even if it's at his own cost. Also, there are giant death robots and eye powers. If you want more of the psychological aspect of Death Note, more of the mindfuckery, go for Death Parade and watch people lose their mind as they are faced with games designed to reveal their true selves before they are judged and sent to heaven or hell. If you like the thriller cat and mouse game, go for Terror in Resonance, a beautiful-looking show about two teenage best friends who terrorize Tokyo while leaving clues and puzzles for a detective to discover their motive. What is the dark secret that hides behind their actions? If you like the raw tone of Terror in Resonance, and you want something 100 times darker and grittier, check out the cyberpunk dystopia of Psycho-Pass. In a near future, Japan is governed by a system capable of detecting latent criminals before any crime has been committed. In that society, there exists a special unit of investigators made up of criminals and outcasts, charged with stopping future crimes and catching the criminals that have fallen through the cracks of the system, resulting in a brutal cat-and-mouse chase with a serial killer who looks to enact revenge on society and unveil the hypocrisy that hides underneath. Viewer discretion is highly advised. Was that too much violence? Parasite is a more typical hero's journey, with a teenage main character who goes from a nerdy loser to a confident hero. But his powers are also his curse, as he is thrown into a situation where he is in between two worlds, half human and half parasite. Who are the good ones, and who are the villains? And on which side is he? Speaking of teenagers, one of anime's most popular genres revolves around a cast that spends most of its time inside high school. These are usually romantic comedies or slice of life, starting off easy and simple with rom-coms. Nisekoi, a spin on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, results in this light-hearted love story about fake relationships, hidden feelings, and comedic misunderstandings. You like the tsundere characters? Then, Toradora is for you. A high school romance where opposites attract and personal growth comes with laughs and tears. If you're liking the blend between rom-com with more serious and emotional drama, Love is War, a hilarious over-the-top battle of wits, where two student council members try to make the other confess first, but neither will admit to having feelings for the other. It starts off fairly silly and slowly gets more grounded. Also, a good recommendation if you like your rom-coms, to actually have some romantic progression, just like Toradora. Speaking of finished shows with clear progression, Origairu, a cynical high schooler who believes in nothing but the system, learns about human connection and emotional growth. Somebody said drama? Golden Time, a more mature take on college life and romance, where memory loss works as a slightly convenient plot mechanism to complicate relationships. If things are getting too serious and you want more of the silliness, try any of these. Do you prefer the romance aspect? Romance. Love is Hard for an Otaku is still a rom-com, but with an emphasis on the rom aspect of it. It follows two closeted otaku who are secretly in love with each other, but can't admit it due to their awkwardness, for a more hardcore romance. Kimi ni Todoke, a high school romance story about a misunderstood shy girl who is avoided by her peers due to her unfortunate creepy smile and resting Sadako face syndrome, but she eventually finds friendship with the misfits and love with the popular boy. Say, I love you. Once more, opposites attract. A quiet loner and a popular boy unexpectedly grow close, navigating first love, past wounds, and the awkwardness of teenage relationships in this gentle, emotional romance. My dress-up darling. Two high schoolers find love while exploring the hobby of cosplay and helping each other find their purpose in what they love and are good at. Warning, this one is slightly spicier than the rest so far. 1 Week Friends, a far more wholesome little story about a boy and a girl with amnesia who can only retain new memories from up to a week ago. After discovering this, the boy decides to continue approaching her week after week in hopes of building something more between the two of them. Too much unspoken tension between characters? Or do you simply prefer the comedy aspect? Grand Blue is probably the most grounded. It follows a group of college friends in their often drunken adventures. But if you enjoyed the school setting and want to stay there, Asobi Asobase, a bizarre series revolving around 3 middle school girls who play odd games to pass time. It treats the girls as actual people and doesn't shy away from showing their boyish side. Daily life of high school boys. You'll never guess what this one is about. But seriously, this one is my favorite based purely on comedy. Psychikusuo, a high-energy series about a high schooler with psychic powers who just wants to live a normal life but can't escape the chaos caused by his classmates. Very meta, very fast-paced. Don't watch if you have a hard time keeping up with subtitles. If you like the irreverent humor but are getting tired of the constraints of a school setting, Konosuba is a fantasy that follows a group of adventurers, each one more useless than the last, as they try to earn their bread and somehow defeat the Dark Lord. You can't help feel endeared to the main cast, even if they are a bunch of selfish a-holes. One Punch Man follows a superhero who can defeat anyone with a single punch, leading to apathy and existential dread as he can't find a worthy opponent. If you like the subtle but more serious undertones, then try Mob Psycho 100 by the same author. The most powerful psychic ever tries not to be defined by his powers or rely on them to lead a fulfilling life, even if he is below average in everything else. Endearing characters, incredible action, and really heartwarming. So, what about slice of life? Assassination Classroom is a good way to ease into the genre as it has drama, comedy, and action. A class of misfit students must work together to assassinate their teacher, a superhuman octopus creature, before he destroys the moon. This is further complicated when the octopus turns out to be a great teacher and just what these kids needed in life. Now, for what is more typically considered slice of life, K-On!, a lighthearted show about high school girls forming a band and developing their friendship, giving meaning to their youthful days. Hyoka, a quiet high school student, is roped into a mystery-solving club where he must unravel trivial but intriguing puzzles. Jaw-dropping animation, and serene atmosphere. Speaking of which, laid-back camp is as calming and comforting of an experience as the camping trips the cast of high school girls embark on as they strengthen their friendship and learn more about the hobby of camping. More chill? Barakamon, a heartwarming series about a calligrapher who moves to a rural village to deal with his anger issues, finding inspiration and peace with the locals. Something more chill? Mushishi, a serene, philosophical anime about a man who travels the world, encountering magical creatures and learning life lessons. Ah, I have achieved Zen, reached Nirvana. This genre segues very easily into the character-driven dramas, the tearjerkers probably being the most well-known and loved. Violet Evergarden, a beautiful episodic story about a soldier adjusting to life after war, exploring themes of love and loss through her job of letter writing, where she helps people express their feelings in her own search for answers. Your Lie in April, an emotional story about a traumatized pianist with a dark past who regains his passion for music with the help of an inspiring violinist who has a big secret, Anohana. When the ghost of an old friend appears in front of the protagonist, he reunites the childhood friend group to fulfill the last wish of their diseased friend, opening old wounds in the process, but also reigniting their bonds and finally learning to heal and move on from their trauma. Angel Beats. Set in an afterlife that takes the form of a high school, a group of souls must come to terms with their past lives in a battle against their regrets. Not designed to make you cry, but emotional nonetheless. Real Life is the least tear-evoking entry of this category, but is nonetheless an inspiring story of a man in his late 20s who gets the chance to relive high school, making new friends and reflecting on his past decisions. A genre equally loved and hated is the Isekai. Watch Sword Art Online if you want to be up to date with one of the most divisive anime of the last 15 years. Players of a virtual reality RPG find themselves trapped in the game, where dying in the game means dying in real life. Now, not quite as polemical, but still very popular. These stories are character-driven pieces. ReZero. The protagonist is reborn every time he dies, leading to gruesome deaths and endless trauma. Less popular, a lot more polemical. Jobless Reincarnation. Loser is reborn but keeps his memories and becomes a powerful magic user as he confronts his past. Similarly controversial, you have Goblin Slayer and Redo of a Healer. Too weird? Yeah, sorry about that. Try instead The Rising of the Shield Hero. Underdog main character journeys to repair his reputation after being betrayed. Still too weird? How about The Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime? Regular loser. New fantasy world, you know how it goes. The catch is the main character is an overpowered slime overlord. The protagonist has to fulfill the role of the bad guy. Sorry. Skeleton. Another very popular genre is the Spokon. Sports anime, Haikyuu being one of the most well-known and loved, a high-energy volleyball series about teamwork, rivalry, and personal growth. Give it a try if you think volleyball can't be epic and be ready to be proved wrong. Yuri on Ice, a figure skating anime focusing on a professional skater's comeback, blending romance with breathtaking performances. Hajime no Ippo, a classic boxing anime that's as much about personal growth as it is about the brutal matches, probably the funniest Spokon ever. If you prefer a focus on teamwork and friendship, try Kuroko no Basket and Free. By this point, you'll have realized these aren't a very realistic depiction of sports. So if you want something a bit more grounded, try Megalobox, a futuristic boxing anime with a gritty, determined main character who's out to prove himself against all odds. I know it's partly sci-fi, but the fights are real AF. For the different shades of horror, you have another or final destination of anime. A cursed classroom, a mysterious girl, and a series of gruesome deaths set the stage for this suspenseful story, where uncovering the truth is the only way to survive. For a psychological thriller with action, try Ajin. After discovering he's an immortal known as an Ajin, a high school student is hunted by the government and forced into a game of survival in this tense, supernatural thriller. Want more? Tokyo Ghoul. A dark story about a world where flesh-eating ghouls exist, and a half-human, half-ghoul protagonist must navigate a terrifying landscape of monsters and humanity. It's filled with visceral body horror and intense action. But if you want even more gore, try Elfenlied, a bloody, violent series about a girl with telekinetic powers who escapes from a research facility and seeks revenge. It's infamous for its graphic violence and emotional themes of isolation, abuse, and humanity. Or Hellsing Ultimate. A secret organization battles ghouls, the church, and a bunch of angry Germans with their ultimate weapon, a vampire who hunts his own kind, in this blood-soaked, stylish, and unapologetically brutal action horror series. Anime is famous for its gigantic stories filled with fantasy and superpowers. These are your typical shonen anime. There is absolutely no better start than Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. This series blends adventure, drama, and action in a story of two brothers trying to regain their original bodies by mastering alchemy in a world filled with military intrigue, philosophical questions, and a deep mythology. On the opposite side of the spectrum, but still a shonen nonetheless, sits Attack on Titan. The story is set in a world where humanity is on the brink of extinction due to the giants, a dark and violent story that delves into the horrors of war, oppression, and survival. Sitting somewhere in the middle between the tone of Attack on Titan and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, which oddly enough share a lot of similarities that I don't often see being brought up. If you know what I'm talking about, list them down in the comments, and I'll tell you if you missed any. Jujutsu Kaisen follows Yuji as he battles curses, while dealing with an immense power that lies dormant inside him. Chainsaw Man is the story of Denji, a young boy with nothing to lose, who gets entangled with devil hunters and deals with the absurdities of a violent world while pursuing a simple desire: a better life. But going back to the brighter side of shonen, the following most accessible that are still worth your time are these three. Hunter x Hunter is a step up in regards to episode count and the scope of concepts and narrative. It follows a young boy in his pursuit to become a hunter and meet his father. It is an incomplete adaptation, but the 2011 version offers a satisfying conclusion nonetheless. If you loved Hunter x Hunter's complex power system that allows for creative abilities and strategic fights, you're going to love the story that directly inspired that power system and countless, truly countless memes. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This one is difficult to explain, just watch it. Naruto, while a timeless classic, doesn't have a very approachable episode count, nor is it very kind to people who value their own time. But if you follow a filler guide to skip the unnecessary parts, you should be fine. The same thing applies to Bleach and, I could not mention it, One Piece. Fairy Tail is also pretty popular, I guess. If you absolutely love the genre, you can also check out Soul Eater, which counts with brilliant animation and a beautiful gothic aesthetic. If what you love about shonen is the over-the-top action and over-the-top everything, check out Kill la Kill. With its hyper-stylized battles and high-energy absurdity, it's a wild ride from start to finish. If you want more grounded action, try Golden Kamuy, a treasure hunt in early 20th century Japan with themes of loyalty and exploitation. It's a unique blend of action and cultural exploration. Too much comedy? Vinland Saga offers intense, serious storytelling about Viking warriors, exploring themes of revenge and the harsh realities of war and colonization. Okay, not that grounded, but I like the more serious tone. Then, Fate Zero is a perfect pick. A darker and more mature take on the classic battle royale concept, with morally complex characters and deep philosophical debates. Now, for bonus genres and honorary mentions. And for bragging rights. Wait, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, right, ecchi. So, there you go. I've mentioned 85 anime, but remember, you don't have to see them all. I gave you plenty for you to pick and choose according to your preferences. But I'd say if you've seen half of them, congrats. You've graduated from noob to degenerate. So, any others you think I should have included as a good introduction to the different aspects of anime? Tell me in the comments.